organizations here with us today are two organizations that I would say in so many ways are culturally and philosophically deeply aligned with BTC's deep belief in the genius and the wonder and the power and the beauty of Black children and the unique role that Black educators play in cultivating those gifts in our children.
The BTC Salon Series is a modern reimagining of historic Black salon spaces where thinkers, educators, and freedom dreamers gather to exchange ideas, challenge norms, and ignite vision. Rooted in Black tradition and innovation, these conversations honor the genius of our children and the legacy of those who teach them. Welcome to the Black Teacher Collaborative Salon Series. Spaces where Black educators, leaders, and thinkers reimagine what is possible for Black children through liberatory education.
And through all kinds of channels, it took a while for me to come to the discovery of how powerful a Black teacher can be and how destructive a Black teacher can be if they don't have that wisdom and this liberatory sort of frame and mindset when interacting with Black kids and any kids whatsoever. So the work that I'm doing now with the center is really trying to reinforce that cadre, that core, that army, that force of teachers that really understand, representation is not enough. Just because you're standing there and look like the kids is not enough. Just because the percentages say that, we are representative of our community, it's not enough. What mindset are these Black educators bringing to their classrooms? And what responsibility and duty are they internalizing versus just reinforces maybe some of the trauma that they've been through that they've not come to terms with just yet.
But we focus in on governance a lot, whether or not Black people are in a position where they can say what they want to happen for their communities and make it a reality. In this role, I focus on building our educators, our institution. I focus on our partnerships and making sure that we feel joyful in community. What about Black brilliance? That eats. I was like, Black brilliance is like, it can be the brilliance as in shine. It can be the brilliance as in just like your mind.
Really, when we think about like Black education, I do think one of the founding, if you will, or core principles is this idea of the role of education in helping build a positive and affirming identity in Black children. BTC was started, one of our core texts is Know Thyself by Brother Naeem Akbar.
Who I was surrounded by, because I had no idea. I've been coming to New Orleans my entire life and I felt like it was this very beautiful Black space. And so to be surrounded by whiteness felt very odd. But one of the things that was the most beautiful thing was that I had a really solid Black school. And so the majority of the teachers there were Black veteran teachers who were able to come back post-Katrina. And I had a phenomenal principal, Miss Lori, who is iconic in our space, and would check me on things all the time. I was super Black centered, all the things, but I also was bougie and had no real idea of what that even meant, and would say the craziest things. And Miss Lori was like, I don't mean to burst your bubble. I know Jabari is here. Jabari is my student who then joined the Institute at Binola, but was at school. And I would say the craziest things to students. And Miss Lori definitely threatened to put me out her building one day. She was like, listen, don't talk to our kids any kind of way. If you are they expect white people to be racist. You are a Black teacher. They see you as someone who is an extension of them. So don't come in here and be classist. That's not it, And so because I read all of these things, I was like, oh, I am here to impart all of the things from Malcolm X on you, to you, It's no, my children had so many things that they taught me. And my Black veteran teachers really, really held me down and made sure that I became a good teacher. They did things like, you're not going to do the relay program. That's not a real program. you're going to go to a four-year university, you're Black, get a real degree, right? Like, it's just like, these are the type of things and the conversations that, and that's no shade to Relay, but also shade to Relay, you know what I mean? Like, these are the things that, like, our kids deserve the best. They deserve people who are going to school and really trying to figure out, like, what does it mean to teach children? What is their psychology? Like, what does it mean to teach a Black child how to stand up for themselves in this world and advocate for themselves in this world? Black veteran teachers led the way for me on that.
Yeah. So I'll do it, I guess, in terms of a scenario. Imagine going through nine years of school, 10 years of school, you enter high school, and no one has asked you who you are and stood still enough to allow you to answer that question.
Yeah.
So the beginning of our curriculum for Teaching Academy begins with, who are you? What is your purpose? And what is your purpose is a question and an exercise. If I ask you 2 or 3 times the same question, everyone has a canned response for the first 1 or 2 times that I ask you. If I ask you the same question over and over again, by the time you get to 4 and 5, you start to either speak things out into the world that you've never even had a chance to speak to before, or you sit in silence because you've never had the space and time to actually think about it. So giving Black students the opportunity to think, who am I? How does that apply and connect to the excellence and the legacy of the Black community that is infinite behind us and in front of us, is the starting place for igniting this interest into what does it mean to be a teacher. If you really simmer in who am I, what is my purpose, what are my values, how are they reflected in my learning experiences, what is my connection to my community, again, all a part of the initial sort of introduction to what it means to be a teacher, it stirs up interest and creativity in the students that are going through our program.
I always tell the story of, we were doing some work with Algebra 1 teachers, and there was this powerful narrative that came out of there, because you had veteran math teachers, educators who've been teaching math for 20-something years, who in the space came into this realization that, one, at some point they had been told that Black people weren't mathematicians. And that Black people couldn't do math. And in spite of, like, again, years in teaching math and strong instruction and showing impact and having strong results, we're 20 years into the game finally realizing, like, and able to say, like, I am a Black mathematician. I am a mathematician. And like standing in that and then using that, to your point, as a space to propel them into their responsibility to, quite honestly, like, build more of that in our children. And beyond just building, like, math literacy and fluency and all of that, but building in our children an identity of themselves as mathematicians and people who come from mathematicians.
Yeah.
People who have to Stevie's point, a cultural connection to math, a deep cultural connection to math. So,
as a footnote, my approach was classified as a front porch strategy of research. You can imagine sitting on the front steps of a school, just like the front steps of a porch, right? And just having conversations very similar to this about what has been deemed research, but really is rediscovering traditions that have been a part of our community for, as long as we can possibly remember. But I think I'll zero in on centering personal growth and cultural resonance. Having the opportunity to explain one's individual story in the form of a manifesto was extremely liberating for the school that I did my case study in. And realizing that each teacher had a personal piece of themselves outside of their classroom, and they spent a substantial amount of time at the beginning of the year explaining who they were to their students. It was healing and therapeutic for them as a teacher, but it also immediately invited a connection with their students in a way that students from other schools had never experienced before. And imagine that for kindergarten through 9th grade, or kindergarten through 8th grade. So those students had a completely different just image and archetype of what school and what the school experience was about. And that was a really key piece of a lot of the recommendations that came out of my research. Pilot programs that start with individual classrooms that are doing strategies like that, but also spend a substantial amount of time with the adults that are in that class, asking them the same questions about who they are, their values, and what they believe is the purpose of school. Do they understand that schools are a connection to the community and not just a franchise extension of some larger CMO or district that's there to get test scores?
The BTC Salon Series is a growing archive of what's possible when we center Black children and Black educators. This is our moment. Let's rise together. We believe in the power of Black educators. We believe in the genius of Black children. Join us